Hi, I'm back with my Healing Manifesto, and this time I want to talk about choosing a great team of doctors and alternative practitioners. Now, I can't stress this enough, and I'm pretty sure everyone that says this is always get a second opinion. Always get a second opinion. It's just common sense. I originally had a male doctor that I didn't connect with. I really wanted to have a female doctor, so I requested that, and it meant that I had to travel to a different hospital. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. But it worked. You know, I've never understood why men go into gynecology. So so that's number one, and it has to be a doctor who gets you. They may not completely be on board if you want to do alternative healing, alternative practices, but there's also partly, you know, we are teaching doctors and healthcare practitioners that there are other methods and other things they could use. So you know, we're kind of opening their eyes in a way. And even one of the doctors that I saw had read the book How to Starve Cancer, which I didn't particularly like as a book, but they got really on board with it. So you just never know. So that would be my first bit of advice: is always get a second opinion, and if you don't get on with your doctor, ask for another one. Ideally, you want to be working with a team that are kind of on the same page. So in the UK, we don't really have integrated healthcare. So unlike in, you know, some other countries where you could go to a clinic where they're doing chemotherapy as well as IV vitamin C or mistletoe therapy or homeopathy or even shamanic work, you know, we just don't have that here. So we have to build our own team up, and we have to find our own team of practitioners. And, you know, really it was my role to keep them all informed together. I mean, I was really lucky that I had an amazing acupuncturist who had a family member who'd had cancer, and he knew all the right questions to ask. And, you know, he'd ask about scan results, he'd ask about my blood tests, all those kind of things. So did my nutritionist. In fact, my nutritionist could read my blood test results better than I could. And that was one of the other things that I always did. After I had any appointment, test, scan, I asked for paper copies of them. And the hospital might have, it's called an access to records. So you might have to speak to the access to records team. But you are entitled, because of data protection, to have a copy of every single test they do, every single meeting they have about you. I still find it mind-boggling that they will have a team meeting to decide what the next procedure or steps for your health are, but they don't invite you along to the meeting. I find that crazy. So, you know, they were really wasting their time with me, because they'd have the team meetings and come back and go, oh, we want to do this, and I'd be going, no thanks. No thanks. And if you'd had me there in the meeting, maybe we could have found an alternative. So anyway, so I always got all those notes. It's not something I knew about at first, and I know a friend of mine who'd been through a cancer journey. She'd had to pay £50 to get her notes, and that's because it was before all the data protection stuff. But now every patient is entitled to see their doctor notes or hospital notes. So I always find that's a really good tip, because there's often things on your scans that they don't tell you. Like, I wasn't told that I had cysts on my ovaries, and it was only when I got my scan results, and when I went back to see my doctor and I asked about them, she kind of waved me away saying, oh, you were probably ovulating. And actually a year later it turned out that they were tumours on my cysts on my ovaries. So it's always good to get your notes and go through them with a fine-tooth comb, either yourself or with one of your practitioners. So, you know, I was lucky that I did have a nutritionist. I also had another doctor that was a GP and an anthroposophical doctor who I had mistletoe therapy with, and I would send her my hospital notes and my scan results. So there again, you know, I was kind of getting another second opinion on those notes from someone who's a qualified doctor. You know, you have to find the team that works for you. You have to go with your intuition of what you feel you need. I would always recommend that you get a really good nutritionist. I mean, no health practitioner is allowed to say that they are focusing on healing cancer, because it's illegal. So what they will do is, you know, they'll be focusing on healing your body, working on your health, and that's what you need to do anyway. So it's all good. Personally, I also worked with someone who checked my bloods for things that the doctor wasn't looking at. So they were looking for inflammation in my blood. And I worked with someone called Mark Hathaway, who is, his title is a biohacker. And I paid for a whole year of him analysing my bloods every few months. And, you know, I had to also go through, I talk a lot about this on my blog, you know, I would check my urine pH, my saliva pH, I checked my blood levels, checked my blood pressure, my breath, you know, how long I could hold my breath for. There were all these different tests that we would do, and he could tell from the results of those tests what was going on in my body. It's quite amazing, because that's his training. And he also had a good knowledge of nutrition and supplements. So obviously, you know, he found me really easy to work with because I'd already done all the nutrition stuff. You know, he wasn't trying to change my diet right from the start, getting me off burgers and pizzas, because I didn't eat that way anyway. But, you know, that's what a nutritionist would work with you right from your basics, kind of what is your diet at now and what do you need to change. I worked with a kinesiologist, which I found really useful, because they would check, you know, where things were with the supplements, because I think we can all get a bit stuck in taking lots of supplements when you're healing something in particular. So maybe it's whether it's like taking mega doses of vitamin C or mega doses of magnesium, vitamin D. I mean, that was one of the things pretty quickly. You know, I was reading on cancer groups about taking high doses of vitamin D and nearly poisoned myself, because I didn't realise, I didn't have that knowledge then, that our body stores vitamin D, and actually if you have too much of it, it can damage your kidneys. So there is a test that you can buy online. I'll find the link and put it below, where you can order. It's about £30 a vitamin D test, because the NHS don't do it. You have to pay. I think I paid £70 through the NHS, and then found this other website where you can get a vitamin D test done. It's good to check your vitamin D levels. I would say seasonally. So as the seasons change, check where they are. Obviously in the summer, if you're outside, you're getting lots of vitamin D. But a kinesiologist, you know, that's another really simple way of kind of testing. So the last time I saw my kinesiologist, you know, I had a bag full of supplements, and she took me off most of them. Now I take really basic level supplements now, so that was really good. Saves me money not having to buy loads of supplements all the time. I went through a phase of having regular colonics, and the colonic practitioner was also really on board with the nutrition, and luckily it was the same nutrition stuff that my nutritionist had told me. I did at one point, I think, through a charity, had a free nutrition session, which was interesting because it was slightly different from the nutritionist that I'd been working with, but I was really happy with the way I was working with my nutritionist. So I kind of stuck with what she told me and really listening to my body. You know, I did a keto diet for 2 years, and that was probably a bit too long, but at the time I felt great. As I started to come off it, my liver, I could feel my liver struggling with the amount of fat that I was eating. It was vegan keto, you know, so I was really kind of looking after my body, but, you know, listening to my body. I think that really helped me through menopause. I would always recommend menopausal women give the keto diet a go. I think it really helps, but, you know, it wasn't the cure-all that I hoped it would be. And also, you know, if we look at the way our ancestors ate, you know, keto would be probably a winter diet. You know, that's where you need your fats and, you know, your nuts and your seeds and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, you can't just pick a diet and do it forever and it's going to work, because our bodies change seasonally, and what we need to be eating what grows in the garden, and at the moment there's not a lot out there in the garden. Everything's going into flower and into seed. So I'm getting some beans and I'm getting some sweet corn and still a bit of kale. But yeah, thank goodness for my organic veg delivery. Anyway, so yeah, a lot about food. I dipped in and out with shamanic practitioners and herbalists now and again. But, again, whilst they didn't really talk to each other, I had to be the voice going in between. And I got to a point where I didn't want to start again with people because it's going over the story. So that's why I recommend, go with someone who's recommended by word of mouth, or that you really feel that you've got a good connection with. If it's not working for you, walk away. Start again with someone else. But get a really good team of practitioners. And although that sounds like a big list, I wasn't seeing them all the time. My nutritionist was great. I'd get a program and then I'd just be off on my own, and I'd be able to go back to her with some questions to tweak it. I wouldn't be having deep sessions every month or anything. I had mistletoe intensively while I was having chemotherapy, and now I just have my mistletoe kit that I self-administer. I'm not having an IV anymore. I don't have to travel to see the doctor anymore. So, all these things are, they're not things that have to be super, super expensive, because you don't have to be having them all the time. I mean, again, when I was having chemotherapy, I was having acupuncture every week, and I just made that my priority and it's really supported my body. But I don't have it now. I haven't been for about 6 months because everything's feeling good. Same with, I did have homeopath. I have got a homeopath, but again, it was quite intense, when I was in the thick of it all. And, once you kind of come out the other end, things ease off. And I think one of the things that was really important for me was not to be living in fear that, it might come back or I might get it again. I felt very clear that that's it, I'm done. And I support my body to be healthy in general, just for general health. So yeah, do come back to me if you've got any questions. I hope that was clear. But number one priority, make sure you get on with your doctor, you've got a good team, whoever that might be, and feel comfortable with them. Feel like you can ask them anything, and that they will support you in your choices. That's one of the most important things, is getting the support for your choices. And I had some amazing, almost like mini miracles. At one point my surgeon was saying they were going to remove my lymph, and I absolutely didn't want my lymph removed, and I was arguing on the phone and kind of surrendered to, oh, okay. And then the next day I got a call saying, actually, we've changed our mind, we're not going to remove your lymph. There we go. Pray for the miracles. All right, lots of love. Thanks for watching, and my info is below.